First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. When I say everybody, I'm also including the press in my gratitude. Listen, the press have played a crucial part of responding to this entire event by getting information out to people across this entire region. And because of information that's been provided to the public, I think the public has been able to act upon that information in ways that truly save their own lives. I want to thank those who are gathered with me here today who participated in briefing for this event. They include the Kerr County Judge Kelly, who will be speaking here shortly, County Commissioner of Kerr County Tom Jones, Kerr County Sheriff's Office Chief Deputy Chris Lalonde, Mayor Joe Herring, Kendall County Judge Solarich, Como County Judge Hoyt, and your State Representative Wes Verdell. So with regard to the helicopter trip that we took surveying the entire region, we got to see it, and we saw the ways, especially area above Kerr and Kendall counties, and saw how rivers had ravaged communities, and especially in the areas along the contours of the river. We saw different levels of destruction, but candidly, nothing compared to what we saw a year ago. We also saw signs of people and communities that were already in the process of rebuilding, including some volunteer organizations that we saw out helping people that I'll be mentioning more about here shortly. In the meeting that we had before coming out here, I heard about the trademark resilience that this region always shows whenever they face any type of challenge. I want to thank all of the local leaders for the way that they leaned into and responded to this. One thing we talked about is the ways in which lessons learned from 4th of July last year prepared all of these local leaders as well as all the local residents to better be prepared to deal with what we face this year in these devastating floods. Also want to thank all the first responders, all the volunteers, and our fellow Texans for the swift and effective response to the floods. Their preparation, whether it be the local leaders, the volunteers, the first responders, or the citizens themselves, the way they responded to this saved lives. Also want to thank state responders, including the National Guard, Department of Public Safety, Game Wardens, Texas Task Force 1, Texas Department of Transportation, Texas Division of Emergency Management, the Texas Emergency Task Force, and all of our state first responders. A couple of facts and points of concern about where we are right now. The high water mark in this flooding event crested at Comfort at 37.08 feet on Thursday. Right now, that water level is about 5 feet. Where we are right now and going forward for the next few days, our largest concerns are around the Nueces River. Evacuations will continue in areas like Uvalde, where Nueces is one of 4 rivers that flow through and around the Uvalde area. We also remain concerned at this time for Cotulla, Tilden, and Carrizo Springs. They remain threatened by high and rising waters. Remember this, just because the skies may be clear here right now, doesn't mean that the aggregation of water that's flowing downstream has peaked. Downstream, the waters will continue to rise and continue to pose dangers for those local communities. Information that was provided to me in the briefing before coming out, provided by local officials in this area. They said several things. One is that almost all rivers in this region hit record highs. Second, they said that, and especially in Kerrville, the flooding this year was worse than the flooding last year. They said that sirens and warnings, they worked. They said that early warning systems saved lives. They also said that they got good information from the Upper Guadalupe River Authority. As the floodwaters are now receding in most of these areas, we are now transitioning into the process of the cleanup and the rebuilding. The state is working and will continue to work with local officials to expedite debris removal as well as to accelerate the rebuilding process. The Texas Department of Transportation is here, and we'll talk to you more about how they are prioritizing road repairs as well as the rebuilding process. To support these efforts to the fullest, I issued a state disaster declaration for 59 counties. And then late last week, I issued a major disaster declaration that seeks federal relief for 28 counties. Altogether, the state has provided more than 2,700 personnel, more than 1,400 vehicles, more than 115 boats, and more than 21 aircraft. Altogether, the state has rescued more than 530 people. The state of Texas is working with Kerr, Kendall, and Comal counties that are represented here today in the recovery of this event. The following is information that the state has at this time that can be supplemented by each of the local officials. For Kerr County, the majority of impacted residents are owner-occupied single-family homes, indicating a substantial need for long-term housing recovery, repair, and rebuilding assistance. We have identified about 490 homes that sustained damage and about 100 businesses that sustained damage in Kerr County. Those numbers are always subject to change. Of those, about 135 residences have sustained major damage or have been destroyed. 219 households have requested voluntary agency cleanup assistance. The primary needs include debris removal, property cleanup, muck out and interior demolition, and heavy equipment support for debris operations. Very importantly, there are active volunteer organizations that are helping as we speak. One is Texans on Mission, formerly known as the Texas Baptist Men. Another is Samaritan's Purse. Another is Team Rubicon. Another is Operation Blessing. And another one is Crisis Response Ministries. Importantly, those are volunteer organizations that can immediately help all these homes and all these residents with the muck-out process, with the beginning of the rebuilding process. If you're a homeowner or a business that fall into those categories, you can contact these organizations that are being coordinated through Kerr Together, and that contact can be at the Hill Country Youth Event Center, which is where we are right now. Importantly, there may be people that need access to food, and food is currently being provided in at least 3 different locations. One is HEB is providing food at this Emergency Operations Center. Mercy Chefs is providing food at Beacon of Hope Kitchen, which is located at 610 Methodist Encampment Road in Kerrville. And Salvation Army is providing food at Calvary Temple at 300 Texas Highway 534 Loop, Kerrville, Texas. For Kendall County, the majority of impacted residents are owner-occupied single-family homes. About 100 residences have been damaged in Kendall County. That number will go up when Bernie is going to be fully assessed. About 23 households have requested voluntary agency cleanup assistance. That assistance continues to be focused on debris removal, general property cleanup, muck out and sheetrock removal, limited heavy equipment and chainsaw support. Food is available at World Central Kitchen, provided by Mobile Feeding. Right now, there are no volunteer reception centers currently available. That could always change. Long-term recovery operations in Kendall County will remain locally managed, with the Texas Division of Emergency Management standing by to help out. County officials in Kendall County and partner organizations, they constantly monitor community needs and provide assistance as damage assessments are validated. And again, Texas Division of Emergency Management will remain connected with local officials in Kendall County to determine their future needs. Next is Comal County. For now, there are 3 structures with validated assessments, including 2 residences with minor damage and 1 affected residence. For the time being, there's no major or destroyed structures that have been identified. Of course, those numbers could go up. Right now, there are no requests for cleanup assistance, and there are currently no sheltering, feeding, volunteer management, or long-term recovery operations active within the county, which also can change as needed. At times like this, our fellow Texans, they always want to help out. I want to make sure they have access to an on-site location they can go to help out. And it is called rebuildtexas.org. That's rebuildtx.org. If you want to donate to assist, and all these people have been affected by these horrific floods, please go to rebuildtx.org. And there's a QR code right here you can go to also find out. Next, I want to pass it to the Kerr County Judge.
Okay, I didn't realize I was going to make an opening statement. But,
well, go for it.
But I'm happy to. Deja vu all over again. Remember Yogi Berra? Here we are a year later, but under incredibly different circumstances. There's devastation nonetheless, but very different circumstances. Last year when we were here, we were grieving. We're under a pall of human loss. This year, and I'm not saying this is something to be excited about or to be happy about, but we have an unprecedented second flood in 1 year. 1 year and a few days. And here we are. I talked to a good friend of mine last night who was talking to me about how discouraged he was for us to have this devastation thrown on us within a year again. That's why I say it's not deja vu all over again. This is different. This year, we had notice. This year, the systems that the state implemented worked. We followed the weather forecast very closely. It was not some kind of sudden rain bomb out on the divide that fell on impervious cover and sent a 50-foot wall of water down here that we got blindsided by. This was something that we saw develop. We watched the rainstorms. We monitored them. Here at the county, we actually set up an incident command post in response to your disaster declaration.
Right.
And we're able to track this. We've been tracking it since Sunday before last and watching the rainfall. And so, did it stop the devastation? No, it did not. But were we better prepared? Yes. Thanks to not only the systems the state provided, but our local friends, UGRA, who stepped up and has provided us information on a regular basis daily. And with that, we were able to at least prepare for what happened. In the county's case, we set the incident command post up on Tuesday, the day you gave your declaration. And I was over there the next morning at 4:30. I'm not usually out at 4:30, but just checking to see how the incident command post was set up. It was incredible. We had all the information available. They could show us where the rain was. They could show us how much of the rain was, and everything. I was very impressed with it. And that was Wednesday morning. By Thursday morning, you know what happened. And I got the call, and we went out. We had the incident command post, and my conversations with, for those of you that don't know, my successor, the county judge-elect, Tom Jones, right here, has saved our bacon time and time again. He gave me the call that the incident command post, which was over at the sheriff's department in the training room, was flooding. And so we had to instantly relocate the incident command post. which we did back over here to the Youth Event Center. There was over 2 feet of water in front of the sheriff's office that he drove through to get there, to get the word to me that we needed to move the EOC. And that goes, incidentally, right in front of the city's new Justice Department. The decision was made that we would go ahead and stand up the EOC here, which was the best place to do it because we knew the volume of assistance that was coming. You came last year, you came again this year, God bless you.
Thank you.
We wouldn't have made it without you.
Thank you.
But now, am I being Pollyanna about this? A year ago, we didn't know what was coming. We didn't know what hit us. We didn't know how to survive from the losses that we suffered. We were starting at scratch, ground zero. And we learned. We put together, the KEDC came in and took over and started the recovery process for us. And here we stand today. That organization, that framework is still standing. We stood them up a year ago. They're still there. And they're ready to come in and help us on this one too. I know it's a different incident, but we already have the long-term recovery group in place. We have the finest leadership locally that you could imagine. We have over 250 volunteers involved in this CUR together that we've already founded and started and put together. I learned. Sometimes you learn from hard knocks, but we put it together. And they have, I think, at least 15 to 17 different committees that specialize in different aspects of the recovery. And they are staffed and ready to go. This is a horrible event, but we are ready. And we hope, and the major difference, I think, is we didn't have the loss of life this year that we had last year. We truly mourn the one that we did lose, but one compared to 119 or maybe 120 if you count the suicide is not bad. And the amount of property damage is much worse than it was last year. We all know that. And there's more concentrated in the city than there was last year. And a lot of that I attribute to the fact that the flood last year came roaring down that river valley and tore out all the riparian growth and devastated us. And when you remember the trees, the bald cypress trees, and the way they were torn up and uprooted. This year, when the flood came, it was a local flood, not an incoming flood. But when it came, there was no growth there to slow it down like we did last time. The growth slowed it down. And so by the time it hit Kerrville, it hit it hard and fast. And so we have a lot more local damage in the city proper, in the city limits, and we not that we don't have it out in the county, but out in the county it's more roads and bridges and individual homes. But the devastation is something that we can address, and with partnerships with the state of Texas and TDM, with the federal government, with the federal declaration yesterday, we feel like we are in a position to recover from this. They say, pardon me, I skip around here a little bit. Everybody's been telling us we're a year ahead of the game in recovery because we got our people out there quick and on the spot, and we're working the thing night and day. Well, I lost my thought on that, but I think we're ahead of where we were last year. If we were a year ahead where we are now, then with this we should be able to work this recovery and restore normalcy as best we can to the citizens of our county as well as our neighboring counties in record time. And we look forward to the challenge.
That's great. Thank you, Judge. I know people want to hear about roads and bridges, and that's what we have Texas Department of Transportation with us. Why don't you tell them all about it?
Thank you, Governor. So first off, I want to thank Governor Abbott for his leadership and continued support throughout this response and recovery effort. I also want to recognize the work of TxDOT employees from across Texas who have stepped up to support the San Antonio District during this historic flooding event. Today marks another important milestone in our response as we continue helping communities recover from the devastating flooding that impacted Kerr County, Uvalde County, and many other communities across our region. At the peak of this event, more than 223 TxDOT employees from the San Antonio district were actively engaged in response operations, supported by 155 pieces of equipment in a single day. Across the district, floodwaters impacted 52 state-maintained roadways. Today, that number has been reduced to just 9 affected roadways, demonstrating significant progress thanks to the tireless efforts of our crews working around the clock. While the flooding affected several counties, Kerr County experienced some significant transportation impacts, and I want to highlight the incredible work done by our Kerrville area maintenance and engineering teams. At the height of the response in Kerr County, 30 employees and 36 pieces of equipment were dedicated to emergency operations. Their work included roadway closures, debris removal, damage assessments, bridge inspections, and emergency repairs designed to safely restore connectivity for residents and emergency responders. At the peak of the flooding, 13 roadways in Kerr County were affected. Today, I'm pleased to report that all state-maintained roads in Kerr County have been open to traffic. Now, while we have reopened roads, some locations continue to require repairs and ongoing monitoring. These roads include State Highway 39, where crews are continuing to address pavement damage, exit I-10 here, an entrance exit ramp on I-10 and near mile marker 501, where pavement repairs remain underway. The State Highway 16 at the Sidney Baker Bridge, where bridge-related repairs and assessments continue. We do have it open to traffic, but we continue to have one lane closed as we assess damage to one of our bridge girders. And the reopening of these routes represent great progress in a very short period of time and reflects the dedication of our crews and who have worked long hours under difficult conditions. Throughout the region, our teams have removed debris, cleared roadways, and inspected bridges and drainage structures, repaired damaged pavement, restored traffic control devices, and worked closely with local and state partners to reconnect the community safely. Recovery efforts remain ongoing in Uvalde County as well. One location receiving significant attention is FM 481, where flood damage has impacted the bridge approaches and roadway. Our engineers are currently completing assessments on the damage of FM 481, and we expect to have a repair design finalized and an emergency repair contract underway by the end of this week, allowing us to move quickly toward restoring that vital connection. So as we move from emergency response into long-term recovery, our focus remains on permanent repairs and ensuring every roadway is safe for the traveling public. We continue to urge motorists to use drivetexas.org for the latest travel information and to never drive around barricades or through flooded roadways. Finally, I want to thank the men and women of TxDOT whose professionalism and commitment have been on display throughout this event. Their efforts have helped reopen roads, restore access, and support communities when they need it most. TxDOT will continue to work closely with the Governor's Office, state agencies, and local officials as recovery efforts continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next, the Chief of the Texas Division of Emergency Management NIMCID.
Thank you, Governor. And again, thank the media for being here and help us get this message out. As we share the QR code here for donations, we'll come back to that in just a second. I want you to remember that we are transitioning out of the emergency response phase here in Kerr and into the recovery phase. Now, we would like to stay out of the emergency response phase, but you still have many roads that have damage to them. If there is a barricade on the road, please do not move that barricade. While there may not be water on the road ahead of you could still need repair and could cause damage to your car or cause you to run off the road. As we work through our recovery, I want to thank our volunteer organizations that are out there, the faith-based organizations. And if you want to donate to one of those organizations or to the greater cause, you can go to this QR code. If your home or business was impacted, I ask that you go to damage.tdm.texas.gov and report those damages to us. That helps us quantify and qualify the damage across the state to bring in additional state and federal aid. And if you just need generic information about all disaster resource capabilities, the website down on the end, disaster.texas.gov, is the one-stop portal for all agencies to report that. We want to continue to work with our homeowners and businesses to clean up. We want to clean up as fast as possible. We'll have resources available to help with that. I want to thank our volunteers that just come out of the woodwork. I mean, when we were out earlier today, we saw Texans on a mission out there leaving one house going right to the next. The work gets done so much faster through our volunteer organizations. And I ask you also, help us remain weather aware. While this storm that impacted this area and so much of the state is moving on, we still have water that's moving through South Texas, through some of the lakes, and we're all watching the tropics right now. We are getting into the heart of hurricane season. And so we want to keep our eyes out in the tropics and out in the Gulf and make sure that all agencies and assets and resources are available. And then finally, Governor, I want to thank all the first responders here. They're the ones right on the front line saving the lives, and not just the paid men and women of the Sheriff's Department and the Police and Fire Department, but the hundreds of volunteers across this state that put their life at risk and leave their homes and their families to go out and help Texans.
Sure. Thank you very much. We'll answer a few questions. Go ahead.
The rebuildtexas.org, have you been able to track how many donations you've gotten since Friday?
I have not, but hopefully they're growing by the minute.
Governor, we know that the communities of Cotulla are bracing for floods. What's being done there to prepare for water that's coming that way?
Sure. I'm going to have Chief Kidd answer more about this. Let me just explain a couple of things. One is, listen, we're right now as we're going through the rebuild process in places like Kerrville, we remain extraordinarily concerned about Cotulla, and I got to add Carrizo Springs. Both are facing very serious challenges right now, and we urge great caution by all the residents there. Provide great support to all the first responders and the local officials there, because we, as a state and our local communities, still have to get them through the remaining challenges over the next 48 to 72, maybe even longer than that, hours going forward. But I'll let you provide more detail.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you for bringing that up. You may remember a couple of days ago when we were in Uvalde, we talked about the amount and volume of water twice Niagara Falls going through the Nueces. That water is working its way down to Cotulla right now. The river right now is about 9 feet as of this morning. It'll go up another 5 feet, and it is impacting some of the infrastructure there. So all of the state agencies that are here are already there with support of those local governments, making sure we move people out of harm's way and protect the infrastructure that we can. But there's something else I need your help in. Tell people not to kayak in the water right now. I mean, we're using resources to rescue people that are going out there and trying to get sport on. So that needs to stop. Please help us get that message out.
Sure, so, and that'll be something that we consider. We have Wes Verdell here, who I think has already talked about that. And Wes is probably the best advocate when it comes to what's going to happen in the upcoming session to address it. Bottom line is this. As you heard the county judge say, and as I heard others in the briefing room articulate, listen, the early warning systems have helped. We all acknowledged that there's more to get done to make sure that the entire warning process is going to be complete. So know that we will continue to evaluate not just the 3 counties we've talked about here today, but all counties across the state of Texas. You know, again, we had flooding going all the way up to the San Angelo area. We have flooding going on down in Carrizo Springs and all the way down into the far reaches of where the Nueces River will go. And so we as a state want to always gather more information, identify ways in which we can make communities safe. Listen, again, as the county judge pointed out, the systems we put in place last year proved to be successful and helpful. We want to make sure we are equally successful and helpful in every region across the state of Texas, and those are the kinds of issues that we will take up in the next session to make sure that we fully address.
Governor, what were the main things done this year compared to last year that helped minimize the loss of life?
Several things. First is just the recognition that when heavy rains are coming, it has to be paid attention to, cannot be ignored, complacency is the worst thing that could happen when a storm is coming. So just the awareness of what a storm can cause is step number 1. 2 is the preparation. There was preparation by homeowners, by people who otherwise would have been close to rivers, who understood this time. Don't be close to rivers. Be prepared to evacuate immediately. Go to higher ground. All kinds of strategies that homeowners and residents can take. Third is the local officials. You heard the county judge, but also heard the mayor and others in the press room or conference room, where they talked about the ways they were able to prepare days in advance before this event, and they knew exactly what steps to take to implement to make sure they would be saving as many lives as possible. And so, from the resident to the entire community, everyone was far better prepared. But let's be honest about something else. Even though we got more rain in this event, this was a different event than last year because we had the ability this year to see the rainstorms come in for days before the heaviest of the flooding occurred, as opposed to last year, which was far more sudden and far more concentrated. Even though we had less rain last year, it fell in a concentrated area in a far faster way. So we have not yet had a chance to talk to the families of those two who passed away. Obviously, every life in Texas matters, and we want to be, we want to make sure that the families' needs and concerns are addressed. But again, we just remain concerned for the families who lost a loved one.
Chief, can you speak to, I believe the barge at the City Baker Bridge was involved in a TDM operation. Can you speak to whether that was properly prepared and secured beforehand and if we've recovered the equipment that was on it?
So the equipment has been recovered and moved, and that's what the bridge is being assessed right now. And that was part of the debris removal operations from the last storm, getting the water, the debris that's down on the bottom of that lake there to get it up and out of the way.
And was it properly secured before the flood? What led to it moving downstream?
Yeah, it's a private company that owns that. We need to ask the company if they are going to do something different next time.
Doctor, more questions, folks?
Can I get your name and title with that?
Yes. Charles Benavides, I'm the district engineer for the San Antonio district.
Thank you.
All right, thank y'all very much.